Hey everyone. Today I'm going to do part 2 of the Q&A. I don't think this one will be quite as long because I don't have as many questions now, but I did have some people ask a few more questions, so I'm going to try to get to those if I can. I'm going to chew Trident. A few people added some questions to my Q&A video, so I'll get to those, but I'm going to finish up the questions that were asked originally. Somebody asked if I grew up in and are currently part of a certain denomination. Talking about church. And I don't mind sharing that. But my last video seemed to invite certain conflict, and I really don't want that on my channel. So I think that I may wait a little while to dive back into that. The short answer is that there are many denominations that I would feel comfortable attending church at. I think that I have things I could learn from pretty much every denomination. I used to be very close-minded. I was raised pretty close-minded, but have since, through my faith journey, realized that, actually, so many people just interpret things differently, and I have things I can learn from everyone, and that's a really beautiful thing. I am going to scroll down and try to find where I left off. Okay, I think this was somebody asked about my favorite hacks. I don't know. I feel like I'm not great at this. Life hack, wife hack, mom hack, teacher hack. I don't know if I'm going to give hacks, but like a good life hack, and just trying to enjoy your life more is to me, to try to see the good in everybody. That makes for a much more joyful existence, I think, if you look for the good in people instead of the bad and focus on the bad or annoying things about somebody, but try to see the good in them. I think that's a life hack because you can live a much more joyful life. Wife hack. I was kind of talking about this at Bible study today with some other women, moms. It's like learning how to let certain things go and trying to be wise and discerning about the things that you just like let go, and the things that you like hold on to and say like, no, this needs to be addressed. As there are definitely both in every marriage. So I think learning how to let certain annoying things go without harping, nagging, bringing them up all the time, like just deciding like, you know what, this one's not that big of a deal and I just need to get over it and like let it go. That's a good hack for just like marriage. It's just like you can't focus on all the annoying things and all the like negative, like definitely some of them have to be addressed if it's like affecting your marriage, but like there are also just certain things that you've got to get over yourself and like be like, you know what, that's part of who I married and I need to let it go. Can make for a more joyful marriage. Mom hack for me, a lot of being a mom is the same thing, like letting certain things go that aren't that important. Like it's going to create a mess, but let them do it because they're kids, and letting it go and just realizing like I'm going to clean that up later or whatever. But some hacks is that I've learned really mostly from other people. Eating popsicles in the bathtub. Like doing a popsicle bath where they just like eat their popsicles in the bathtub and then they can like play in there while they eat their popsicles, and it doesn't matter how messy everybody gets. Another thing being a mom that I've learned recently, and my son is really just now getting to this age, but like instead of him watching something in the car, which we usually try to only reserve for long trips, I've started like playing stories just from Spotify and letting him listen to stories. And sometimes I choose like spiritual things and sometimes it's just like Disney stories. But then he's still looking around, he's still taking in his surroundings, but he's listening to a story, and that's helping his imagination, it's helping his listening skills. That's been a really cool car hack as a mom of something to do. Teacher hack. Oops, sorry. You know, it's been a while since I was a teacher. The thing I would do the first week of school when I was in brick and mortar schools is to help me learn everybody's name. Instead of like making it this like, hey, I'm making a seating chart and I'm going to make you sit by people you don't like and like in a place you're not going to thrive. What I would do is like on the first day of school, I would say, tomorrow when you walk in, I want you to sit where you want to sit. And like that's where you're going to be. Unless there's an issue and I have to move you. But like I want to first give you the opportunity to like choose where you want to sit and who you want to sit by. So tomorrow, be aware of that when you're like coming in, like try to come in early if you want to be able to choose your seat. And so then when they would come in that second day and they would sit where they wanted and by who they wanted, I would make a seating chart and just write their names. And so really the only 2 days of school that I took a roll where I called everybody's name out was the first and second day of school. From then on, I could just look at my seating chart and see, because it takes a while to learn names, you know, like I work on it And I do learn everybody's name, but like it would take a little while. So that really helped me to be able to look at my seating chart and like look and see who's who. And then I never have to take roll again. Like I still am doing it obviously on my computer, but I don't have to read everybody's name because I can just look at the missing desk and see who it is on my seating chart. If you're a teacher, you know how to set that stuff up, but that's what I would always do the first week of school because it would really help me learn their names and also like keep them in the same spots without like it being a punishment, but letting them choose. And sometimes I did have to move people, if you have issues, you have to move people around, but for the most part, that was set in stone. Okay. When all your kids are in school, will you go back to teaching? I would say maybe. I still haven't decided yet if I'm going to homeschool or not. If my kids go to actual school, maybe I would do that. I'm not totally sure. Like on some days I'm like, yeah, I could do that again. And then some days I'm like, I don't know if I want to go back to that. So I would just have to see. I could see like doing a part-time teaching job online. So that I could still maintain the home and like take care of everything that needed to be taken care of. I'm not sure. Good question. Baby names you liked but didn't use. I liked the name Asher. 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 I didn't use that. I liked the name Nora. Recently I've discovered I like the name Maeve. Maeve for a girl, Maeve. Charlotte. I like the name Charlotte. I had a lot more girl names that I liked than boy names. Yeah, those are a few though. Posy for a girl. I like the name Posy. Have you ever been to Canada, specifically Nova Scotia? No, I've never been. Well, technically, yes. In Niagara Falls, we went through passport control and went to like the other side of Niagara Falls, the Canada side. But like, does that really count? I mean, yeah, I've been there, but like I have not seen Canada. I've not really traveled in Canada. I would love to. I have had friends and family who have gone to Canada, like their pictures are just gorgeous, and I've heard such amazing things. I would really love to travel in Canada and especially Nova Scotia. But I have not, sadly. What's your favorite place you've been to so far? And where's somewhere you haven't been that's on your list for the future? Good questions. I think I may have talked about this a little bit in the previous video, but Italy, like going somewhere that my husband hasn't been, Cinque Terre, I would love to take him there. That's one of my favorite places. And Thailand. I loved Thailand. Would love to go there with my husband. I have never been to Iceland, and I would really love to go to Iceland. I would also really love to go to New Zealand. Never been there. And then somewhere like another place in Europe, I would love to go to Spain. I've never been to Spain. My sisters went to Spain together and loved it, but I wasn't on that trip and I would love to go. What is your favorite video you've ever made? That's a good question. Um, I like doing these Q&A videos. That's really fun for me. I like doing haul videos. I don't do those a ton, but I like showing you products that I get and like talking about them. That's fun for me. I liked the travel videos I did where I like showed postcards and like talked about the different places. I liked doing those. So I don't have like one in particular, but I like those videos. What's my most memorable travel experience? That's a really hard one. Honestly, that horror story of like trying to get from Greece to Italy to Switzerland. I did a video on that, like terrible travel experience. That sticks out in my mind just because it was like so bizarre how many things went wrong and how scary it was. And then another one, and these are not like positive ones necessarily, but sometimes that's what sticks in your head. Like, is when I did night trains in China. I did a couple different night trains, but the second time I did a night train, we got sleepers so that we could actually sleep on little like kind of makeshift mattresses, kind of like pads maybe where you could lay down. And that was better. But the first night train experience I had, we just got seats. And it was so bizarre. It was so cold. You know, you would hear the whistling and the kids would be peeing and you would just lift up your feet and like you would see like trails of pee on the floor from where people were just letting their kids pee on the floor. And we were just like, this is so bizarre. And I'd only been in China a few months at that point. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like, where am I? Like, what's going on? Those were just like too insane, like getting from A to B and like crazy experiences. Those were some memorable ones. How do I come up with ideas for videos? Mainly through requests. That's why I love, like, I have a list of requests and I really try to like listen to that to come up with ideas. And also just like if I have a funny story I want to tell, or if I've gone shopping somewhere cool and I feel like I want to do a haul video, like that's kind of how. Oh, I love what you said about doing like the peanut butter cookies and putting a Dove chocolate heart in the middle. Yum. That sounds so good. I just went and got more Dove chocolate. Oh, I've got to stop, but they're so good. Somebody asked about my testimony for Jesus, and I love that. Thank you for asking for me to share. I love talking about my faith. I think I'm going to do a separate video and share that. just because it's probably longer than what I want to do on here. So I think I'm going to put that on my request tab and do a video about, I shared some of that in my last video, but to like target that specifically, I'm going to do a video soon, kind of answering that in a fuller space. Comparing your two pregnancies, what is the biggest difference in how you felt? Oh my word. A singleton pregnancy versus a twin pregnancy is like, I cannot even compare. Plus, when you have a toddler and you're pregnant, you know, if you've gone through that, you know it's a totally different like story because you've got to take care of a child while you're miserable. I remember when I was pregnant with my son, my singleton pregnancy, I didn't have any kids, obviously. And I was off school for the summer for most of my first trimester. So I could just lay on the couch. And like, I was sick, but I could just lay there. And I didn't have to do anything for anybody. I just laid on the couch. So it was an ideal situation. And also, like, I loved being pregnant with my son. I loved it. I didn't care that I was late, like 2 days late for his birth. Like, I just loved being pregnant. I loved everything about it. I didn't even have that severe of a first trimester, so I was just like in heaven the whole pregnancy. No complications. Everything was just amazing. I loved seeing my body change and like all the different things. Like, it was just beautiful. I loved being pregnant. I was really like, I felt that loss when I like had him of like, I loved being pregnant so much and like feeling him like inside and stuff. But with my twin pregnancy, obviously everything was so much harder with like, really the first half of the pregnancy I was so sick and I had a toddler to take care of. It was incredibly challenging. I felt like a horrible mom. I was way sicker with the twins than I was with the singleton. And I had to continue to care for my kid, of course, and I wanted to do that to the best of my ability, but I was so debilitated by how sick I was that I just felt like a horrible mom. Then I did not love being pregnant with them because I got so big that I was just so miserable. Like, having two babies and like they're pushing on everything all at the same time because they're everywhere. Like, that was so challenging. I mean, they were normal sized babies, you know, like they weren't even little. And we went to 38 weeks, so it wasn't like they were taken super early or anything. Like, and I was like fully pregnant with them in the dead of summer. So I was just so miserable, and I had my son to take care of, you know. So I would say the whole vibe of my first pregnancy was just like joy. If I could give it one word, just like joy. Always loved it. Loved being pregnant. And if I could give one word for my twin pregnancy, it would be misery. I mean, from beginning to end, I was so miserable. I was so excited to have them, but like, I was so miserable the whole pregnancy. By the time I got over my sickness, I was so big already. Like, I didn't really have that much of a sweet spot. I had maybe a few weeks where I was like, okay, I feel better. And I wasn't so big, you know, but like, I got big fast, and it painful. I mean, my belly was just stretching so big, and it was excruciating, like feeling my stomach. It felt like I was being ripped in two. How much I stretched. So it was bizarre. Do you think you will take your children traveling or push them to go traveling and have some of the experiences you've had? Oh, yes, yes, yes. I hope that we can travel a lot as a family. I know that we'll do a lot of in-country travel as they get older. I hope that we're able to do some international travel just with like finances. I hope that we're able to make that happen. But I will definitely push them to travel and to go abroad. I think it's so important if you're able. And I just think it widens your worldview, and it's just so healthy to do. So yes, that is a very big thing for me, that I really want them to have those experiences. That's a great question. Who are your favorite ASMR artists? I really like Angela Bright. I have listened to Juicy Tingles. I like her. Um, who else? I like Daily Time ASMR. Honestly, a lot of times it's just like random people that I scroll and find, like I don't know them. And do you chew gum when you're not recording? Yes, I do sometimes chew gum. Um, I don't smack my gum like I do when I'm recording, or I try not to. Sometimes I think I unconsciously am doing it when I don't realize. Probably because of the videos, but yeah, I do like chewing gum. Um, has anything in your own life made you believe there's a heaven? That is a really interesting question. I would say just, I would say first of all, the studying that I've done. I love reading about people who share about their near-death experiences. There's a book called Proof of Heaven by Eben Alexander. He's a neurosurgeon. He was an atheist, and he got really, really sick, and he went into a coma, and they were preparing for the worst. He had no brain activity. They believed he was going to die. And while he was in that coma, and it was showing like no brain activity, he had this insane experience where he believes he like saw heaven, and he wrote a book about it, and like it's so detailed, and he basically woke up believing in God. I read that book this last summer. So I love reading about things like that and just studying it. And I would also say that like when I had my miscarriages, I became hyper aware and like thought a lot about heaven, because that's where I believe my babies are. And I mean that was really comforting in like the most grievous time in my life. That was really comforting to me. Yeah, I mean, I've had dreams and things like that. I've never had like a near-death experience, but I do believe I believe there's a heaven. I believe it to the core of my being. Um, I've had family members and like close friends who like being in the hospital room when like someone's about to die and seeing their reaction, like this hasn't happened to me personally, but my friend, and like the look on the person's face who's about to die and like seeing whatever they're seeing and the like and things that they'll say, it's like how can like that's crazy, like, and they'll be lucid, like lucid there, they know they're about to die, and then like as they're about to die, like what they see and like the people being in the room watching that happen, that's so bizarre. I would love to see that, like a glimpse. It's like you get a glimpse of it, which is amazing. Okay, let me. Somebody asked if my upbringing had anything to do with me being more spiritual than religious now, and I would say, oh, definitely, for sure. It can be really detrimental to people to be raised to be religious. But thankfully, having like my own spiritual awakening and like faith journey, and my faith becoming my own, led to that separation. And also my parents have changed so much in my own adulthood that like seeing their growth, and I would say both of them are much more spiritual now than they are religious. That's been wonderful for me as well and has helped my growth. Somebody said, what kind of out-of-state or country vacation could you see yourself going on once your kids are older? Either as a whole family or a getaway for you and your husband. I would really love to go to Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii. I would love to go there as a whole family, like if my kids were old enough to like hike and do all the things, but I would also just love to go, me and my husband. And then I think it would be really awesome to do like a UK trip with my kids. Do like England and Scotland and Ireland. Yeah, I don't know. I would love to do Italy like with my husband, just my husband. But some of those others would be really fun family trips. Somebody asked my first tingle experience and did I know what it was? I've talked about this before, but it was a long time ago probably, but I remember it very distinctly. Like it was in Sunday school. I was a kid. I was like maybe 6. I can't remember the exact age, but I was younger than 8. So 5, 6, 7. And like my Sunday school teacher would chew gum, and she would like smack her gum. And my mom, it annoyed my mom to ever hear somebody smack their gum. That was like a big pet peeve of hers. So it was weird for me as a kid to be like, I actually like the sound that makes because my mom hated it. But I remember that giving me that tingling sensation in Sunday school. And so I would always hope that she was chewing gum because I just like that feeling, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know about ASMR until I was in college. And really, my sister told me about it, but she doesn't get ASMR from listening to gum chewing. She would get it from like listening to people whisper. And she told me about it, and I was like, I just thought to myself, like, I wonder if gum chewing, if that's associated with ASMR, because I've had that since I was a kid. And so I think I just typed that into YouTube, like ASMR gum chewing, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I did not know that was a thing. And I was in college when I discovered that. I just thought it was like this weird quirk that I liked that sound. So I remember being like so overwhelmed, like I could not believe that that was like a sound that people like that happened for people. Anyway, crazy, crazy. Okay, this actually ended up being a super long video as well, but not quite as long as the other one. Thank you guys so much for your questions. I like doing these, and I'm going to get to some of those other requests very soon. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.